Let's get to further teed up for today's game.
We pick up the Rays-Mariners game in the bottom of the third. Ty France just got a double. He's on second.
And the outfielder and catchers, ground ball. Oh, no!
Paredes colliding. France coming across, and
Chris Guccione is both the crew chief and the third base umpire. We're going to talk about that out call. Scott Service notices it immediately, asks Gooch to talk to the rest of the crew, and they're going to converse.
France going straight to the bag. Neither guy is looking at each other.
This is an interaction between a runner and a fielder. So the question is, what is the call going to be here?
looks like both the guys are okay.
With this kind of play, there are three possible outcomes: interference on the runner, obstruction on the fielder, or nothing at all. Just call it legal, and the play is what it is.
And it's tough.
The problem, of course, with no calling it is it clearly affected both runners. This is not a tangle-untangle situation that you'd have at the plate. This needs a call. The question is obstruction or interference. Basically, we're trying to attribute fault. Who caused this illegally? Who had the right of way? And the answer is actually bifurcated here. Rule 509b3 says a runner is out when they hinder a fielder making a play on a batted ball, whereas obstruction is the act of a fielder not in possession of the ball and not in the act of fielding the ball, impeding the progress of any runner. Put the two together and we see that there is a system here. The runner must avoid the fielder until the fielder has had a chance to field the ball, and then if the fielder is no longer in the act of fielding because the fielder misplayed it, the fielder must avoid the runner.
There's Guccione, the crew chief.
Simply put, the umpires must determine when the illegal act, the impeding act, occurred within the timeline of events.
No, not at all.
Let's pause here. That's the baseball. I think the baseball has passed the fielder. The fielder no longer has a realistic chance to field this ball. So I would say that the fielder is no longer in the act of fielding at this time. The collision occurs after this, so ordinarily you would think, aha, that must be obstruction on the fielder because the fielder was no longer in the act of fielding when the collision happened. But wait, it's not that simple.
Because the ball had passed the runner and the fielder.
Both of the interference and the obstruction rules don't require actual contact. It's enough to simply hinder a fielder attempting to make a play for interference to be called. What does that mean? Well, if the fielder had to modify his path to the ball because the runner was in the way, it can still be interference even though no contact occurred prior to the ball passing the fielder.
You'll see the ball as it passes Ty, and then the infield.
What I want to do here is watch the fielder's chosen path to the baseball. Does the fielder at any time deviate to avoid the runner? If so, that constitutes interference by the runner, potentially, but if not, then you likely have a case where the fielder has simply missed the ball and is thus no longer in the act of fielding when the impeding act on the runner, coinciding with the collision, occurs. I happen to agree with an obstruction call here. I don't see the fielder changing his path to avoid the runner, which again, could be interference if that happened. Instead, I simply see a fielder who has attempted to field a batted ball and missed. And as we know from plays like the Boston-St. Louis World Series call, a fielder who has misplayed or missed a ball, whether it's a thrown or a batted ball, is liable for obstruction if they in turn impede a runner's progress.
I thought initially it looked like they made an out call on this.
Indeed they did. This is a changed call. The initial out call was erroneous because he called interference. They changed it to obstruction. The question is this obstruction A or B? The answer is this is obstruction B. Obstruction A is a play being actively made on the runner. This was not that situation as the ball had already gone by the fielder. Therefore, play should have been kept alive, and if the batter somehow gets to second while that ball is rolling in the outfield, so be it. But this runner right here who's on the ground, because he was obstructed, is probably going to get awarded third base.
Right there. You're right on top of the lip.
They're on the grass.
Yep, so
They're
you're
on
out
the
of
grass.
You're out of the baseline.
As for that comment, we've done this in so many videos, but I'll say it again. It's a base path, not a baseline. Number one. Number two, the fielder has to have the ball in order for this thing to even apply because you need a tag attempt. And number three, you're allowed to go out of your base path to avoid interference with a batted ball.
It's a different call because the ball had already passed through.
Essentially, that's the key. The ball already passed everyone. It didn't look like the runner impeded the fielder's ability on the initial attempt. Therefore, this is obstruction.
Yeah, and I think Kevin Cash is not pleased with what he saw initially. and he made the call against the Rays.